episode 54. Everybody clap your hands. You did it! That always works!
It's compulsory. What do you mean?
Oh my god!
Pavlovian.
I did not think that would work.
You think you're gonna initiate a bit and I'm not gonna go with it? Are you insane?
No,
Have you ever met me?
I gotta try that just in like a regular setting. I gotta just like, just in the middle of a regular conversation. Just like, all right.
No. Normal people are not gonna roll.
No, I think it's one of those things that like everyone knows it, and I think if you hit people in the right moment, you just like everybody, like they'll just go with it. I think that could happen.
I think you're insane, but I want to see you try.
I want to try it. But yes, do we want to give an actual intro?
I think that, that's good enough. Hey, you guys, it's Oops All Dragons.
Hey, everybody.
Oh my god. To you, it's only been 2 weeks, but to us, it's been a little bit longer than that.
It's been a hot minute.
It's been quiet out here,
Quiet on your side, not quite over here.
Yeah, no, Varun's got a lot going on. Varun's a man on the go.
Yeah.
Things are happening.
We recently had our wedding reception, so that was fun. My one advice to anyone who wants to have any sort of wedding reception is be prepared for some level of stress. Yeah. Even in our setup, which me and my partner kept things relatively stress-free, you can't escape it. There's either family stuff or some money stuff or something that's going to happen that is going to cause some stress. So I have a giant family, so we still had a pretty big reception, even though it was kind of last minute. Still had like 150 people show up. We were anticipating like 200 plus, so like wasn't terrible, but yeah, it was pretty fun. The only other thing is and my buddy told me this, and he's so right. If a reception or any sort of big party is about you, try to like take a moment and like talk to people and like make memories, because it's going to go very fast. It just sped by, and obviously I have my memories, but I have things, friends came, from far away, and we hung out for the first time in a while, and I got to do that, and Nova has a completely different set of memories because Nova was out, doing other stuff and interacting with different people the whole night. So very fun. Bunch of my Trini family, and then a bunch of my white folk friends, and then a bunch of Nova's very Germanic family interacting in one place.
What a combo, y'all two.
That and playing through Resident Evil 8 and the Resident Evil 4 remake are what I've been up to.
You see, there's gonna be another one.
Is there?
And I think so. I don't know. I saw Mercer posting about voicing Leon again, for some future thing.
I mean, they've done 2, 3, and 4, so they could just remake 5 and 6 as well. It's weird that they haven't remade Part 1, the first one. But yeah, these things are just printing money for Capcom. So
it's a movie.
Oh, the CG movie. Okay, yeah, that's
Death
coming
Island?
on Netflix. Yeah. That's a movie, not a game.
Yeah.
Although the way that they're going, Leon's also in Resident Evil 6, so he could show back up again. Mercer could voice him again. All of that, and Resident Evil 6.
I think for the games now it's somebody else, but he's doing the voice for him in the movie.
Yeah, you're right. They sound very similar though.
Yeah. Probably because whoever is doing.
He's all famous. Mercer. He's all famous, and Mercer's busy.
Yeah, he's got a lot going on, that kid.
What about you?
Oh boy, I got nothing going on.
You're making dresses. You're making
I've
outfits.
done a little bit of work. I've had some stuff like on my work table. But for the most part, I'm just trying to enjoy the last dregs of the cold weather before I'm, buried.
It's April.
Yeah.
You also getting cold weather over there?
It's still chilly. No, Vernon, I don't think you understand the amount of rain that we've gotten here. It's genuinely unsettling.
Fort Lauderdale just got 21 inches of rain, right?
Yeah, you got a third of the year's worth of rain over the course of like 2-3 days.
Yeah.
Nuts.
We got a mini hurricane, so I know about rain, all right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just been hot. It's just been hot and rainy.
Yeah, which I know this sounds insane, but I kind of missed that.
All right.
I know, that's nuts. I know that's insane. But here it's been cold and foggy. Like, I'm supposed to go on a hike later today, and it's just like, the sky is not out. What's the point? I need to go absorb some sunlight, please.
No sun.
I'm wilting.
We did have a weird day here, I think in January or February, where it hailed here in North Florida one day, just randomly. Just sitting here at the desk doing work or something. All of a sudden, tick, 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 tick. What the fuck is that? Is it a tree? Like nuts are falling from a tree. Look out! Yeah, ice is just falling from the sky one day randomly.
No, it's nuts.
But yeah, all right. And then you're going to Coachella very soon, yes?
Yeah. Next weekend, that's a thing that's happening.
All of the madness.
I've never been to.
Oh, I thought you'd been.
A thing like that. No, I've never been to a music festival.
Oh.
So I'm just getting thrown into the deep end of the pool.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's gonna be great. It's gonna be a good time.
You never went to Ultra or anything when you were down here?
No.
Good for you.
No, my mom would never allow that. You know what's one that like I'm like genuinely pissed that I was never able to go to was Warped Tour.
Oh,
because that was my shit, and I was never able to go because like. No. No.
Mm-hmm.
My Latin mother was never going to allow that. Not at all.
Like what? I was probably 8th grade, 13, 14 when I had a chance to go to Warped Tour, and yeah, same thing. My Islander parents are like, "What are you insane? No."
Because in their brain, they're imagining like carnival. They're imagining some debauchery. Some things that children should not be involved in.
Which there probably was some, but...
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Like, they were right.
Like, they were right. Do not misunderstand me. They were right to not let me go. But, like, I'm still mad about it.
Yeah. Oh, man. All right.
Yeah, yeah, other than that, I've been actually, like, watching stuff. I'm like finally continuing to watch Good Place, which is what a good show. I had only ever seen the first season. I had only ever seen the first season, and I'm finally in the second season. Great show. Listen,
you got to the big twist, and then the season ended.
Yeah, listen, I like to savor my meals. I can't just like binge watch things anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
that's fair.
My attention span just doesn't allow for it. I watched most of Shadow and Bone.
I've heard of that. What is that?
It's a Netflix show, fantasy adaptation of a series of novels. I had read the first book, and I liked it enough. It's got a cool magic system. It's got some interesting world building, but at least in the book, I had a hard time with the main character. She's like an even more annoying Katniss, So, like, I just had a hard time just because I'm, like, so kind of tired of the unwilling protagonist pick-me main character girl. Just because I grew up reading a lot of that, like, YA, girl power, fiction, those kind of books, like, everything that came after Hunger Games and, like, stuff that's
Divergent,
like
that
type Divergent. Yeah, like, I read a lot of those books, so, like, I'm tired of her. I'm tired of this woman. So
she just jumps from franchise to franchise.
Yeah, no, and it's the same girl tweaked a little bit. She's always, like, a little bit racially ambiguous. Like, Katniss was in the books, at least the way I read it, I saw her as coded as indigenous. And, like, the main character for Shadow and Bone, she's coded as, like, this world's version of, like, Wasian. She's, like, mixed. And, like, at least, like, so it made me unwilling to watch the show, because the show's been out for, like, a year and a half, 2 years now. I don't know. The show's been out for a long time now. I'm finally getting around to watching it because, like, the second season came out and I saw some clips from it, and, like, the costuming, the production design for this show is really fucking cool.
Cool.
And, like, it's really effective, like, storytelling through the costumes, which is actually built into the books too, because there's, like, a whole plot line of, like, not plot line, but there's, like, a through line of, like, different people wear different colors and it symbolizes different things, and that's, like, written into the books and is translated really well to the show. So I started watching it for that, and, like, you know, in motion, and I don't know if it's, like, an aspect of the adaptation or if it's the actress that's actually giving her a little bit more pathos or something, but, like, I don't completely hate the main character. I still find her kind of annoying, but I can, like, stomach her a lot more in the show than I can in trying to read the book. Okay. I think it's because I also get less of her inner dialogue.
I was gonna say
her inner monologue, like, she's just a lot less annoying in the show.
you're just seeing it from the outside.
Exactly.
And it's in a nice, tighter package. And
you get, like, and because there's, like, I think there's 2 different series in this, like, universe. It's the Grishaverse. It's a whole thing. So there's Shadow and Bone, that series, and then there's, like, a series that sort of runs alongside it called Six of Crows.
Okay.
I think that's how it works. I honestly never went past the first book, so this is just, like, what I've absorbed through osmosis, through, like, seeing other people who have read it and talk about it. And so, like, the TV show, it, like, switches perspective a little bit, and it, like, involves some of the stuff from the other book.
Oh,
and cool. I guess because it gives you that, like, break
from the main character.
From the main character, like, it also helps. It mixes it up, yeah. Like, as with most shows, the side characters are more interesting.
Honestly, I wish some of the Gundam series I watch would do that, because they have a lot of side stuff running alongside of it that gives a lot more context to some of the stuff that's happening into the world. If you're just watching the main thing, sometimes you're going to be real confused. But that's cool that they did that. Yeah.
And then the other thing I finally got around to watching is a show called Invisible City, and it's a Brazilian Netflix show. It had been, like, suggested to me several times, because the algorithm was like, you're gonna like this.
You're Brazilian. You like cryptids.
I don't know how the algorithm figured out I was Brazilian, but that's okay. But yeah, you said cryptids. That's exactly it. It's a show that, like, the long and the short of it is, basically, this guy has to interact with a bunch of mythological creatures from Brazilian mythology. And, like, at first I was like, I don't know about this, just because when I think of, like, Brazilian TV, I think of it, like, from my childhood, and it's, like, these overblown novellas and stuff.
I was gonna say, it's like telenovela, right?
Exactly. Like, telenovela is, like, very dramatic, very, like, a certain type of way, like... You know.
That's all I've seen of Brazilian TV.
Exactly.
But I didn't grow up there.
Yeah, and so I didn't have super high expectations for it. And it's actually, like, like, it's tropey, but it's generally pretty well written, and, like, some of the effects are a little hilarious, but, like,
it's in Portuguese?
It's in Portuguese.
Okay.
And the only reason I wouldn't necessarily recommend going in dry to watch it is because they do something that I actually really appreciate, which is they don't explain the creatures too much.
Mm-hmm.
They don't over-explain it. They just assume that you have some base knowledge because the main character has some base knowledge of what these things are, so they don't really, like, explain it. Who so-and-so is. Like, they do and they don't. They have, like, these, like, cold opens throughout the first season that, like, shows a little bit of the backstory that is based on, like, the original myths of some of the beings that he interacts with. But, like, you as the audience, you still need to, like, already know who the Curupira is. So, Patreon exclusive, if you're interested. I'm going to do an episode about some Brazilian mythology, some creatures from Brazilian mythology, and to keep it relevant to us, I want to talk about how to incorporate creatures from mythologies that are lesser explored into your games.
Mm-hmm.
So... And here's where we'll do the plug. Patreon.com/OopsAllDragons. $5 a month. You get access to our Discord, exclusive episodes, extended conversations. Yeah. And, you know, the satisfaction of knowing you're supporting us in doing
helping us keep the lights on, baby.
Yeah.
And even if you can't join the Patreon, even the likes, the subscribes, all that helps. Like, I want to give a big thanks to everyone for our last episode, the Vox Machina episode. Just like crazy. Just blew up. Are the most amount of views we've had on a video, I think, ever that quickly. So, yeah. Even if you can't give us a buck, even though we'd like it, likes, subscribes, all the easy stuff also helps. Comments. We love comments.
It's free. It's easy. It's putting your feet in a creek.
And then you get to just see all of our new stuff as it's coming out. All these new episodes we're talking about. Yeah.
And I think eventually what we'll also start doing is putting up episodes early on Patreon. That's a thing.
Yeah. We're already doing kind of extended or unedited versions on Patreon. And yeah, we could do the early previews or just the early versions as well. Yeah. We're just giving you more bang for your buck.
Exactly. We're trying to find ways, more ways to make that worth doing. But yeah, give us a buck. Find out.
Yeah, there's already some good stuff on there. Some exclusive stuff you're not going to hear on YouTube.
Yeah. So, what we're really here to talk about today, the important thing.
The most important thing.
The most important thing is the practical creature suit used for the Aarakocra in Dungeons and Dragons.
I was going to say, let's pour one out for movie. Chancellor Jarnathan.
Pour one out for Jarnathan. That was a practical effect. That was done by Legacy Effects. Yeah. There's a
I did not know that.
Yes. And I had a suspicion because, yes, Jarnathan and the Dragonborn, they looked and they moved a certain way, like the mouth moved a certain way that reminded me of, do you remember the kids show Dinosaur?
Dinosaurs with the
yeah,
essentially
the
baby, Simpsons.
Gotta love me.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah. It really gave that, where it's this like full bodysuit puppet situation where the mouth moves in a very like specific way. And
I did not get that. I thought it was all CG.
No. At least
the part where he's flying, I'm assuming.
Well, yes, the part where he's flying is obviously, but like when he walks into the room and when they're sitting there, that's all practical.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Damn, they did a good job. I'm pretty
sure when he's splayed out on the ground too, like that's also practical. Like, I love a practical creature so much.
Yeah. Practical effects in general, very good. We're talking about Dungeons & Dragons on Among Thieves, by the way.
Spoilers. Spoilers.
Spoilers for the first
I'll try to keep it to a minimum.
Minutes.
I'll try to keep it to a minimum. But yeah, it's like literally the first 5 minutes of the movie.
I'm fine. Yeah, we just called out at the beginning. Like, we're going to spoil the whole thing, because how can we talk about the movie without spoiling it at this point?
I mean, we can talk about the movie without spoiling it, but like, that'll be annoying.
Yeah, I was going to say, all the fun stuff is like in the details.
Yeah. So, general, like, okay, how do we want to do this? Do we want to go beat by beat? Do we want to just go favorite moments?
I was just going to say, just running up to it, like, we did a little preview, so if you get on our Patreon when we talked to Ben, we had our own initial impressions, and the marketing campaign was
based off of the trailers and stuff.
The marketing campaign was weird, because, like, you said over by you in, like, LA, there was, like, tons of, like, billboards and stuff for it.
Yeah, I actually think that in that episode with Ben, I said, like, oh, I haven't seen anything from it. And then, like, I think 2 weeks later, literally, there's a billboard 2 blocks down the street from me, and it has D&D on it. And then, because I live right next to the Paramount lot, and it is a Paramount movie, there's, like, every bus stop, the side of the buses have a dragon, like, an image of what looks like a dragon, like, crunching the bus. Dungeons and Dragons here, Honor Among Thieves blazoned across it.
And honestly, for my side here on the East Coast, I didn't see much. I might have seen, like, a bus stop or something, on ads or something. I think I only saw the one with, like, Justice Smith and Michelle Rodriguez. Did they do, like, a Denny's ad or something, like some restaurant, or Arby's or something?
Yeah, I don't know, because I don't watch TV.
One is just, like, on the internet, not even on TV. Just,
man,
just, like, randomly. That's the ads
like
I saw for
app?
It. Yeah, like a YouTube ad for, like, the Hobbit meal for when the Hobbit movies were coming out at Denny's. Like, they did a D&D equivalent. Like, that's the only that's what I'm saying. That's how vague, like, the marketing for this was. So I was not going in with a lot of particularly high expectations. And it like, spoiler alert for my review, like, they exceeded my expectations.
No, this movie was genuinely so good. I have friends who don't play D&D at all, and, like, honestly kind of ribbed me for playing D&D, and they were like, wait, that was just a good movie. That was just a good movie.
This is what, like, you
do? Yeah. I'm like, whoa, is this how I'm gonna
entice some new people?
This is how I'm gonna get these people? Yeah, just, like, what I was afraid of with this movie is that it was gonna be too wink, nod, nudge, nudge, you know, like, it was gonna be too referential and too, like, trying too hard, basically, to appeal to,
like, newer players.
Not only newer players, but just trying too hard to appeal to what they think, like, D&D players would want to see.
My fear was the opposite, where it was going to be, like, too focused on, like, lore and, like, Faerun lore and all of that kind of stuff that's in kind of the pre-made campaigns and the books and stuff. And there was very little of it, which I appreciated.
Yeah, what it felt like, it just felt like this was a story that just so happened to be set in this world with these parameters. Which I think is the correct approach to, well, there would be multiple correct approaches, but it is one of the correct approaches to making a movie like this, which is like, no, you just write a story. You have a set of tropes that already are super common in fantasy, and don't try to, like, subvert and reinvent the wheel, because you're just gonna get clunky. It's just gonna get clunky and weird if you try to subvert too much. Just play the hits. Hits. Dead wife. Evil lord,
evil mages,
stolen daughter,
undead stuff.
Play the hits.
The like, bad guys are essentially
the wheel here.
The bad guys are essentially undead, so they're not running into any, problematic racial issues potentially.
Like, that was a good call. Not making the bad guys like orcs or some shit like that. Like, I like, they kind of touch on fantasy racism when he's like, oh, the paladin guy, he's from the race that the red mages are from, and they killed my wife, and so
Right.
therefore I think all of them are evil. And then he learns his lesson that, like, no.
By the way, we should say when we saw these. I saw it way back, like a month ago at this point?
Yeah,
At the
you saw it
early screening.
right when it came out. Yeah.
Like the early screen before it came out to all the audiences.
Yeah. And I just watched it last weekend.
And you just watched it much more recently. So you're probably going to be leading discussion on like what happens when, because it's been a minute. And I have the IMDb pulled up for these character names because I, like I mentioned before we started recording, I don't know any of these characters' names. Like,
Listen,
the main guy is just Chris Pine. The main girl is just Michelle Rodriguez.
As with every DM, you don't learn the character names until like 6 sessions in.
I have
one thing that I was surprised was that, like, his name is Edgin. And because I had only been reading his name leading up to it, I thought it was Edgin. And I really wish his name was Edgin.
Edgin?
I mean,
Chris Pine is Edgin.
Yes! It just makes sense. Anyways.
I was gonna say, I have family members who will watch movie series and they don't remember anything about the actual details. You just like them because they're actiony or whatever. So like the Taken movies, like they don't know Liam Neeson's character's name, and neither do I actually. They just call him Taken. It's like, yo, remember when Taken did this?
Yeah.
When he jumped over that fence like 30 times?
That's how normal people watch stuff. That's crazy.
That's how I am with this movie. I remember when Chris Pine sang a song when Michelle Rodriguez was just totally willing to go to bone down with this very short man. I don't remember the order of things.
Well, she went to go see her ex-husband, found out that he found a larger woman.
Oh yeah, that's right. That dude has a type.
I love it. And then at the end, when they're getting their medals or whatever, and it's also a halfling, and she's like, bites lip, fucking, I was dying.
Should we actually talk about the plot of this movie?
No, I feel like it's funnier if we just jump around like maniacs.
we were pouring one out for Jonathan, just to vaguely, just like, I'm just saying what I remember. So they start off and Chris Pine and Michelle Rodriguez are in prison.
Yeah. And
then we realize they're at their hearing to get free. And they recap why are they in prison, and they had this party, and they were gonna get this real magical thing, this big treasure and magical thing, but Chris Pine's daughter gets left behind. That's, I think that's one good point. They established the daughter in the flashback, so we actually do care about her when she comes back into the story. And then they get betrayed, hit by some time stop magic, so the two of them get captured. The rest of their party gets away, and then they're waiting on Chancellor Jonathan, the Aarakocra, to arrive to give their final determination.
He's telling the story, and he keeps interrupting himself to be like, are we sure? Do we know when Jonathan's gonna get here? Like, because I feel like he would be really compelled by my story, blah, blah, blah.
And it was heartbreaking, just like the fact that Jonathan isn't here right now to hear this.
Yeah, no, oh my god, it's so good. And like, it's moments like that really feel like the writers, not just the writers, but also the actors, like, they definitely played at least 1 or 2 sessions, so they understand the sort of, like, it is tongue-in-cheek. It is a little bit, it doesn't do
they're
like the
not
Marvel
afraid
movie
to be
thing.
They're not afraid to be silly.
Yeah, it doesn't do the Marvel movie thing where it goes so far as to be like kind of exhausting. How much like, whoa, what do you mean you blah blah blah, like it doesn't, you can talk to birds, like, kind of like it, like it
not
feels
so much
very
of the
natural.
meta humor.
Right, it feels very natural and very organic for this character to be like that.
At the
and
bar.
Also, yeah, and you can tell exactly, like, oh, I've known this player who has played this kind of character, who's like can be serious for a moment, but like only for a moment, will break the tension.
I think it also really helps that Michelle Rodriguez's character is just like no bullshit. She just like she makes no jokes. She's absolutely the straight man of the group, and like her contrast to everyone else's kind of jokiness or wackiness, I think kind of helps. But then we realize, why are they waiting on Chancellor Jonathan? Oh, because he's an Aarakocra, they can break out of the window of the prison, even though they were going to be pardoned anyway.
Yeah,
they didn't know that.
I also just love the payoff of that joke at the end too. They do.
They try the baddie. Hugh Grant tries the same thing and just slams into the wall
because they learned. They can't let the prisoners be in a room with Jonathan with a window.
Yes. But yeah. So very, very vaguely, they're trapped in Icewind Dale. So that's when we start to see like some little references to the lore, but they don't like focus on it. You just see it on the map. And then they go to, it's not Waterdeep? It's not Baldur's Gate.
It's Neverwinter.
Neverwinter, yes. I got two of the three.
Yeah. Baldur's Gate and Waterdeep do get mentioned because I think like some nobles from there come to there, but at this point, like our heroes have been in prison for a year or two at this point. So when they get back out, they find out that their old party member Hugh Grant is now like the Lord of Neverwinter somehow. And so they go and they're like, oh great, yeah, I can just go and get my daughter. And then they get there and it turns out that he's been like feeding the daughter lies and telling her that her father's like a worse person than he actually is, and like he's not a good person, but he's like not that bad.
Yeah. I do like they.
I love a trope. I love they play the classics.
It's
they play the classics.
And like how they get in that situation in the first place of like dead wife, resentful daughter, is because he was a do-gooder. He was doing good, getting rid of the bad guys, and then he got greedy. And the gold that he stole from like these baddies was marked with their insignia. So that's how they found him. And like, yeah, just little like D&D. That's like a D&D thing. That's like a fancy thing. Oh, like marked gold. And they have those moments where he'll what is it? He like you say, he gets serious. And like you buy it, like you don't buy the Chris Pratt's like doing a bit, like he's
Chris Pratt.
Oh fucking Chris Pine! There's so many Chris's. I just saw the Super Mario movie. Chris Pine. You buy that he's not doing a bit. I don't think they ever undercut any of the daughter stuff with jokes.
Yeah, that they like play it pretty straight, which I really appreciate.
Yeah,
too.
Yeah, that was nice. So then they go on a quest. They get their sorcerer back, played by Justice Smith. Simon does not have a last name. He's the shittiest sorcerer ever. One thing I did find weird is that like Simon the sorcerer can do magic. I did hear some people in the theater complaining like, like how can he do all that magic? Wouldn't he use up all the spell stuff? I'm like, shut up. Like, it's a movie.
Yeah, it's the same. That's another thing that I think is a point towards this movie is that in understanding adaptation, they're not going, they're not treating they're not treating the game rules as a Bible. The game rules are a suggestion because, I mean, if we're gonna go that way, like the druid, she wild shapes a lot more times than she
bajillion times.
She wild shapes from one form directly into another, which you can't do. She wild shapes into an owlbear, which is a monstrosity and not a beast. Shut up about the rules. Nobody cares.
I caught that bullshit too, and I'm just like no one cares. Like, yeah, there. Did you get any of that in your theater? There were some of the
no.
the push glasses.
I was also just so. I was too in my own world to even listen to what anybody else might have been whispering. Because
this was after.
Oh, after. No. My friends and I that I went with, we talked about it, but like, because my friends and I are like all like film people, like production people, we were talking about it more in terms of like production and writing and all this. Like, we were not talking about it in like the nerd terms, even though like they are the people that I play with here in LA. Like,
okay,
it was not like the point of contention of like the rules and shit. Like, no, I never expected them to play directly by the rules, because that doesn't work for a movie.
So
like those fights that the barbarian gets in, like, no, that's not how anything works. She should not have been able to fight off 6 guards on her own like that. But for a movie, it works.
So this is going out to all of the like the nerds who want to like have movies based around nerd stuff be really adherent to the rules and stuff. The production people don't give a fuck. It's like, no, whatever's going to make the best movie.
Yeah, it's also about what looks cool and what keeps the pace going. If you notice, like, the story that we go through, that is like a several session campaign.
Yep.
It's like a short campaign, but that's like a 10-session campaign that they had to do in 2.5, 3 hours.
They didn't stop anywhere to take a long rest.
Right. It goes one right into the other. Like, other things that I really appreciated was the depiction of attuning to the helm. I thought that was really cool, and that really felt like the kind of thing that like a more seasoned DM would do, instead of just letting you attune, making it difficult,
making it a trial.
That was cool. Yeah, making it a trial, making it a character growth moment.
That's pretty
cool,
because
that character needed something. They had been setting up this. They had mentioned so many times that he's this terrible, shitty sorcerer who has no self-confidence. So they had to pay that commentary off by giving him some sort of trial for him to prove himself to himself.
Yeah.
That was cool.
That was cool.
I think that...
just going back to the original point of why I brought up Simon in the first place, is like, he can do magic, but for whatever reason, Ed doesn't do any magic.
Well... I actually just watched a video about this where it's like, because he's listed as a bard, and they did put out the character sheets for the main party.
All right.
All of his spells wouldn't necessarily look like spells. But he like, it doesn't look like magic, but he like, you know, will throw out an encouraging word or sing a little song or do a little speech.
Guidance.
And like that's the kind of bard that he is like.
That's what I thought they were doing,
He's like encouraging. He's more of a
They go really, really literal with the bard thing.
Yeah. Like, but he's not like an annoying like musician. Like he kind of plays. Because, like, even in the, like, backstory setup where it kind of implies that him being a bard is a cover for, like, what his actual job was.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, that kind of bothered me in the moment. But, yeah, when I stopped to think about it, I'm like, yeah, like, a bard's stuff doesn't necessarily have to, like, look like a wizard's magic or that type of thing. Because most of their stuff is, encouragement or assistance or buffing or whatever. And that can look like anything. Yeah.
And as he puts it himself in the movie, he's the plans guy. He makes the plan.
And if
the plan fails, he makes another plan.
So you make
plans that fail.
Make plans that fail.
Oh man, she took him to town for that one.
Yeah.
And speaking of her, that the druid completely underutilized. She was really just there to like round out the party and
wild shape.
To do wild shape, yeah, so that we can get more creatures. And honestly, that's fine. Sometimes you have a player at the table that doesn't have this whole character arc that is really just there to help you complete the story.
She's the most we really figure out about her is that typical tiefling trope, not wanted by the family because you've got demon blood in you from somewhere down our line, so now she's a member of Greenpeace.
Basically, yeah. Now she lives in the forest.
and fights for the Force and everything.
Yeah.
And then we have our most competent party member, or our most competent NPC, I should say, Zhenk the Paladin.
Yeah, played by Virginia Page. She's so good. I love it because it really does play into every like trope of the Paladin, who's just like so lawful good that he doesn't even crack jokes.
Yep.
Where if he was a player, he'd be annoying to have at the table. But having him be this like level 18 NPC who just helps you with this one task,
fights all the bad guys by himself.
Perfect. Is really just there to show you just what a piece of shit you are. Perfect.
And then leaves the party as like, I could help, but you know what? This is your thing, so I'm out. And then he just walks in a straight line.
Yeah. Is he gonna go around the rock?
He's going around.
Nope, he's gonna go right over it.
Oh.
And like, and it's just like a production design thing that I just really enjoyed is like how shiny he is. He's so shiny. Like when you do armor and stuff like that for this kind of thing, you usually have to put it through a process of aging and dying so that it looks like it's been, used and aged and like, done. But like the helmet that they get, it's this like perfectly shiny thing, and like his armor is also just like unblemished, even though he's this like crazy, like clearly very capable warrior. But like I think that that's a really great way of showing and not telling that something is magic, because like in my mind I've always thought that like magic items, their physical form doesn't get like blemished, dented, scratched, bruised in any way. Like the magic
I think that's the thing from the books, where magic stuff doesn't get corroded by rust monster. No, by rust monsters. Like it's not affected by any of that. They can resize to fit the person perfectly. Just all the little things about magic stuff. Yeah.
And it's a great way of. This movie did a great job of knowing exactly when something needed to be explained and when it didn't, and when it could just be shown, and because they had to fit so much into a feature runtime, they really had to pick and choose what was important to be explained and what just needed to be like taken as a given.
They barely explained the portal staff.
They barely explain the portal staff.
They don't explain the dragon at all, why he's there.
Yeah. Thumberchode? Yeah, I've adopted that as the middle name for my cat.
Thumberchode!
So my cat's name is now Smog Thumberchode.
Oh yeah, you did name your cat
I gotta
after
find
a dragon.
I need to find a third dragon to name him after.
Thumberchode! I love that name. They never explain why he's there, why he's so fat, what he wants to do. He's just there.
He's there. He's red. He's scary. And we gotta get out of here. No time to explain. We gotta get out of here.
We gotta go. Whereas they do take the time to actually explain the raise the dead spell.
Yeah. But again, that felt organic because the characters needed the explanation.
And dear God, why did you phrase it as a question? Just using up questions and immediately.
Another moment of like, no, he's definitely doing that way more than he should be able to.
He just keeps outcasting it.
They just keep going with it. And there was something else that was like that it should have only really been able to be used once. It might have been.
You got wild shape. You got the spells.
It might have been the staff, I think.
Really?
I don't know. No. The staff makes sense. I can't remember now. Another thing was when the sorcerer finally like uses the helm and like breaks the seal. I like that they don't explain who Mordenkainen is. They're just like some big important wizard. Don't worry about it.
They mention Mordenkainen. I think they mentioned Drizzt at one point.
Yeah.
All these big names.
Yeah, where it's like, if you're a person who's unfamiliar with it, you're just gonna go, nonsense fantasy word. I don't need to worry about
Nonsense fantasy
it.
name.
This doesn't have any relevance to the current story at hand. But if you're a person who knows, you're like, ah!
Hey,
yeah,
the thing.
Yeah, I know that thing. But when he uses the helm, he dispels the lock. It's supposed to, what they had explained is that it dispels all, like, enchantments in a certain radius or whatever, but then he immediately uses the sending stone.
Yeah, that's it.
And that really bothered me. I was like, no, that sending stone should not be working.
And their magic still works. Yeah, apparently he can sculpt that spell specifically.
Yeah, would that have been a sorcery point? Would he have had to, like, think about specifically?
Lisa, you're getting into it.
Yeah, well, it bothered me. Like, that one bothered me just because they did take pains to explain that's what the helmet does.
Yes.
And it would have been interesting for
if their communication goes down,
if their communication failed.
Yes.
But again, I think that became like a runtime problem where it's like, no, we don't have time to then add another wrinkle to this where like we have to find a way to get the party all back together again. And if their communication's not working, how do we solve that problem? We don't, you know what? Let's just not even worry about it. The sending stone still works. Like it's like, to me, that point, like, I could see the decision happening in the writer's room of like, nope, we don't have time to deal with that. The setting stone just still works. We're just gonna hope nobody notices. Of course, people are gonna notice.
I think
you explained it.
I think any D&D fan is gonna have those moments where there's something that's like, wait, just a second, that crossed the line for me. The owlbear being monstrosity versus a beast, that was one of the ones that made me like quirk an eyebrow of like, wait a second, druids can't do that. But I'm just like, whatever.
Yeah, that one I didn't mind as much because it was funny and cool.
I know, but like everyone's gonna have their thing.
Yeah, I mean, because like, I'm gonna say that anything that was rule break was rule of cool and who cares.
Yeah. The plot of them using the portal and then covering it up with a painting and then using it to get through, that was pretty neat. Of like their heist plan essentially. That was a pretty cool thing. That's absolutely like D&D logic of, you know, the players thought of something insane. All right, like technically, yeah, I don't have a reason to say no. You know what? Yeah, the portal's on the back of that painting now. Yeah. And then they have that moment where they've accomplished their goal. They've, you know, exposed Hugh Grant Forge to be the baddie. They've got Ed's daughter back. But the red mage who betrayed them originally, she's been around, and now she's doing the big undead spell again. And they have that moment where they have the hero's choice of like, we could just leave, just take all the treasure and go, and just like, you know, be rich and everything on our own. And then they just choose to turn around and go back. And you know what? That's cool. That's I think that's definitely a D&D thing. I think it depends on the group, because I know some groups are just be like, you know, we got what we wanted. So bye.
And that's the point where like, okay, you guys are playing bad guys, and now we're going to treat the game as such. Yeah, I thought it just like, again, this is such like a weird, like a, I don't know if this is actually a niche thing to say anything about, but like, yeah, it was just really well paced. Like, nothing lingered for too long, like longer than it needed to. Things that didn't matter clicked by. You know, it was tight. It was a tight movie.
I can't think of any sequence that dragged everything, had a purpose.
Yeah, because that's kind of the danger with these kinds of movies, where it's like, you know, trying to cater to a specific audience or like trying to adapt a specific thing, where it's like there's I feel like there's always the one scene where it's like the writer's trying too hard to like wink nudge at like a certain segment of the audience, and those scenes always drag and, you know, grind the whole thing to a halt just to get like one joke off, and then it just like doesn't land. And that I don't feel like that happens here. Like all of the like battle, like fight scenes are really well choreographed. Like it all feels very
Especially
organic.
Shanks.
Yes.
I thought we were going to get a Gandalf moment there, but no, he just wins.
Yeah. Because he's like level 18. He's like up there. Like, and another thing I really appreciated is that, like, when he does, like, the sword into the dragon's, like, head to make it close its mouth, you see that the dragon didn't die from that. Like, they don't try to tell you that, one sword hit's gonna kill this thing. Good. Because I would have hated that if he was able to kill the dragon with one hit. That would have sucked. I don't know, nah, this is bullshit. But no, the dragon was still wriggling around after that. Great. Love it.
I like that Justice Smith's character. The issue with his attuning is technically his self-confidence, but it's manifested by his famous ancestor just talking shit about him. just showing up and just be like, you ain't shit. Like, what are you doing here? Like, you're not worthy. And he gets over it by eventually just like saying, no, Dad, I'm gonna do the thing.
Yeah, it's just, we're rambling on and we're saying so many things just to say that it's a good movie. It's well made, and it's like they clearly used the budget correctly because oh my god, the effects are, if a bit cheesy, but they're consistent. But they're not cheesy in a way where they look bad. They're cheesy in a way where they're like, they look good, but they're purposefully a little bit maybe like overblown, if you know what I mean. And honestly, if you take a step back, yes. And honestly, if you like take a step back and just look at the whole thing, like overall, it's a Guardians of the Galaxy movie.
It's an Avengers movie.
It takes that same formula, but like it just. I don't want to say it does it better, because those people all try very hard, and I have to be diplomatic because I need work. But I had a lot more fun with this.
All right.
Where, like the earlier MCU movies, like, still had a soul.
Tell us how you really feel, Lisa.
You just did. Like, the earlier MCU movies had a soul, and then they stopped. Because, you get to a certain point where...
They got the formula.
You got a formula down, you just do Mad Libs, and giant hole in the sky, bad, evil thing, whatever, stop it.
Once in a while we get Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah. That once. Once you get Thor Ragnarok. I wish I had the words to really, like, explain exactly what I mean when I say, like, when I say that, like, it's the same... a very similar formula for the plot, but it's just executed in a way that is just a bit more interesting. Maybe it's just the fact that it's a different IP and it's a different universe. Like,
I think that's it.
It might just be that, that it's just something different.
It's different.
Where it's familiar. It's familiar, but it's still different.
The characters themselves aren't established. So we've got to actually, like them throughout the course of the movie. Didn't have to watch 5 other movies to do that.
Yeah. I like that they didn't even attempt to set up a sequel.
Pretty much. Yeah. The only thing we see is Zhank showing up at the end, catching Hugh Grant, and that doesn't imply anything except they might show up again. The
only thing that implies is that he was going to throw him in jail. Which, I don't know if you stayed, there is I don't know if it's a post-credit scene or mid-credit scene.
Yeah.
That's him.
Where Hugh Grant's in jail and tries to do the same gimmick and absolutely fails.
And again, that's not setting up a sequel. That is simply, like, an epilogue.
They could make another movie in this world that doesn't have any of these characters in it.
Yeah. That, like, at most, like, the characters might, be mentioned
or show up in the background,
or show up in the background, or
like the original Dungeons and Dragons cartoon crew showed up in the maze.
Yeah, they could do a sequel, but they could just make another movie within the same universe. Like I almost feel like I think that one of my biggest gripes with this movie is actually the way it's titled. I think it could have just been titled Honor Among Thieves with, like, a D&D movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the way that, like, the Knives Out movies are. Where it's, like, this is just a story set in this universe.
Yeah.
And then, like, probably in 2 years, we'll get another one that's, like, a completely different set of heroes, a completely different set of circumstances.
Or maybe one or two returning, and then... Because I think Michelle Rodriguez is real good. I think she's real good as, like, the straight man to the group.
I mean, is she the straight man?
She's wacky. Like, Shank technically is the straight man, but, like, him also being so serious is wacky in kind of the context of everything else. My last thing of just, like, something I really ended up actually liking is they got the Tablet of Resurrection, and, you know, you think they're going to use it on, you know, Ed's wife, but then, oh no, Michelle Rodriguez gets stabbed, and you know, Red Wizard's blade, you know, you can't just use cure wounds or something on it. So they actually use the tablet on her, and, like, you know, she's just like, let me die, it's fine, and they bring her back, and there's that moment.
Like, why did you do that?
She's like, you know, I think she words it as like, why did you use that on me? And, like, you know, it comes out that you realize that she's the girl's mom, really.
Her big sister. I mean, she's the one who really raised the girl.
Yeah, she's even though her and Ed are not a couple, like, she's the mom here.
It's about found family.
Yes.
It's about found family. And that's really where this movie gets it. That's where you're like, oh, they get it. They get it. But again, like, oh no, I have to use the tablet. I have to decide whether I'm going to use the tablet for my original intention or if I'm going to save my friend who has, you know, actually been there for me this whole time.
Yeah.
That's classic trope. Classic trope. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. Play the hits.
I actually did that to Saul and my brother when they were playing in the campaign. They ran into a situation just like that. when Saul comes on, he'll talk about it. But yeah, I've actually done that to players.
Yeah, it's just it's a good trick. It's a good party trick. Again, I really enjoyed that this movie was just like it didn't try to be weird. It didn't try to like.
It also didn't try to be more than it was.
Yes.
It's just like, this is a wacky fantasy.
This is a fantasy movie. Adventure film. We're gonna play the hits. We're gonna do exactly what you expect us to do. Because doing things that because also, again, because of the runtime, because you have to fit it all into doing the tropes, doing the shorthand, it just makes it that much easier for it to be ingested by the audience. Because if you try to be too weird and try to subvert and try to, like, do some weird shit, you have to do a lot more explaining, and it's harder for your audience to, you know, do this whole suspension of disbelief that's required for these movies. So just do what's familiar.
Yeah.
Because you can just do shorthand. You just go, dead wife, I'm sad, gonna do crime.
Gonna do crimes.
Yeah, because, like, there's already a layer of stuff that, like, is weird for common fantasy movies. That, like, work smarter, not harder. Just, I think, like, what was really refreshing for me is that, like, there was this trend over the last couple of years in movies and TV shows, and I kind of blame Game of Thrones for this, where, like, writers are trying too hard to be weird and, like, subvert expectations and not do what the audience expects and like honestly kind of treat the audience like they're stupid. And, like, this movie doesn't do that. This movie's just like, we've got a lot to cover. Let's just go.
Let's just go.
Keep it simple.
We're gonna explain the bare minimum. Simple.
Oh my god! Save the cat. He saves the cat. Like, if you want to talk about baseline easiest way, like, it's there's literally a writing textbook called Save the Cat, where, like, it's the easiest possible way, the quickest, most shorthand, one sentence way of making your audience understand exactly who a character is. Have them save a cat.
Huh.
And he saves the cat. That's literally the first thing we see Zenk do, like, when they're seeing him in person, not just, like, hearing about him. The first thing that we see Zenk doing is saving a cat.
Cat boy, but yeah.
Yes. I mean, yes, of course. It's D&D. You gotta make it weird. He's a tabaxi. He's a little tabaxi baby. Saving it out of a giant fish. Yeah. But he's saving a cat. He's literally doing the high fantasy D&D equivalent of pulling a cat out of a tree.
Yeah.
I was gagged, honestly. I was like, wow. Not a word had to be spoken. All we saw was guy pulls cat baby out of giant fish, hands it to his mother. Everybody gives him a pat on his back. Nothing had to be explained about, oh, this guy is a pillar of our community and this and that. Nobody had to explain that to us.
You just know he's a good guy.
We saw it. Oh, God. This movie is actually so well written. It's crazy. Like, if I was, like, one day I'm going to go insane and just become a film professor and I'm going to show this movie in class.
just
because it shows
just really a chalkboard and diagrams.
Well, it's just a really effective example of really efficient writing, because this movie is efficient
and effective, like you say.
Yeah.
Other movies can be efficient and not be effective. Yeah.
And, like, it's hard in my own brain to figure out, like, okay, do I actually like it just because it's the D&D movie and I'm a nerd? Or do I actually like it because it's actually good? And, like, obviously, it's
both can be true.
Both can be true. It's just hard to separate, like, the reasons. You know, so, like, in talking about it like this, I'm like, do I just think that because this, or, you know... But yeah, it is an effective piece of, and it doesn't have any, like, it doesn't try to moralize. It doesn't try to, like, do, like, any sort of, like, it doesn't try to, like, hit you over the head with a hammer with some sort of like, moral at the end. It's very organically just, like,
the closest...
Hey, don't be a piece of shit.
I was going to say, the closest things we get are, don't destroy the environment, don't be a piece of shit, be loyal to your friends.
Yeah, basically.
Don't raise the undead.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like you say, it's a good, effective movie. You could pretty much come off the street. I don't think you need any preconceived notions. You can just come out, watch it, no problem. You'll have fun. The last point I have to bring up of I need your feedback specifically, Lisa. We like the movie. It's good. It's pretty damn fun. The tiefling, design wise, do you think...
Should have been red.
I was going to say...
She should have been gay. She should have been red. She should have been gay.
Do you think they're cowards for not coloring this tiefling?
100%. They went so far as making a full Jarnathan puppet. They didn't paint this girl red. Fuck you.
They did a cat person, did a dragon board, did a bird person, practically.
Like, all these creatures, all these practical creatures, you didn't paint this girl red. Some fucking Krylon red TV paint stick.
She didn't want a Jennifer Lawrence Mystique situation.
I don't care. Paint her red. And also, those horns need to go into her eyebrows.
I was going to say, she got some short horns.
Yeah, she needed to be a little freakier.
You see her tail, like, once, I think?
Yeah, she uses her tail to, like, help brace her when she's trying to pull the guy through the portal. But... yeah. And also she needed to be gay, because I think it would have been funny if, like, the entire movie the sorcerer is trying to, like, flirt with her because I guess they had a thing in the past, and she was like, no, you kind of make me sad because you're, like,
he's kind of
weird
depressing.
And upsetting. And it'd been great if at the end she was like, oh, no, I mean, like, thanks, like, you're better now and you don't make me sad to be around, but, like, I've got something going on. Like, I needed her to... I needed the...
You know what? I think the tiefling being straight was the subversion of the trope.
Yeah. I think like the one trope that I could have gone without is the compet. Yeah, the compulsory heterosexuality there.
Let's see if they even...
At the end, they had to pair off somebody in the group.
But to be fair, they're not like, we're gonna get married. She's like, I'll go on a date.
We'll go on a date.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
and
still.
She's like barely agreeing to it.
Yeah. I just think that they could have gotten like one last joke off there. That would have been a joke for like current players, really.
That's just the thing. I knew, like, no matter how much you like this movie, their portrayal of tieflings is an abomination in your eyes.
Not an abomination. It felt
too safe.
Lazy, safe. Yeah. Not nearly enough gay people in this movie.
I was gonna, like, if you had your druthers, like that tiefling, like stark red, big ol' horns, getting real.
They
real
didn't need to be
it.
bigger than they were. I just wish they actually like came down into her face. I don't know. I just needed her to be a little more weird looking because I think this whole party is just a lot of like really normal looking people.
Yeah,
and nobody plays like that anymore.
You can't. Yes.
So
true.
Here's the hope. I mean, what it feels like is like a party of like really new players.
Yes.
Where you're still like, I'm gonna play it safe. I'm gonna play a human barbarian. Human sorcerer.
Is she human?
Yeah. Or is she Goliath?
I thought she was like a dwarf.
She's taller than Chris Pine.
You're right.
You were not watching this movie. The whole joke with her ex-husband is that he's a halfling and she's a giant woman.
You're right. Never mind.
She's a 6'6" woman.
Yeah. No, you're right. Either that or she's the tallest dwarf ever.
Yeah. Anyway, review. 9 out of 10. Lost a point for the compet.
Honestly, for me, I think I gave it like a solid 7 out of 10. But yeah, I think I'll bump it up to like an 8 now. Just talking back over it, definitely something I would watch again. Fun.
Yeah, this is definitely going to go into the rotation of like movies I put on in the background while I'm working, where it's like I don't need to pay attention.
I can just look over when they're doing the heist, or I can look over when Shank is on screen.
Yeah, it didn't try too hard to have like witty one-liners, and like it didn't try too hard to be quotable. Like I don't find this movie to be super quotable. I think they're trying to make it like in some of the marketing that I've seen, they're trying to make it like, oh, isn't this so funny, this thing that he said? I'm like, no, not really. But like, so it's not like I don't feel like this is going to be like a cult classic or anything like that. It's high level mid.
It's very decent. Yes.
It's high level, very competent, very enjoyable mid.
It's a 10 on the mid scale.
10 out of 10 on the mid scale. Like it's right there. Where it's like very competent movie, very effective, efficient, enjoyable, fun.
Mostly family appropriate, I think. I don't think there's anything that's particularly like inappropriate. Maybe some violence, like
violence, like they don't go off to a brothel or something like that. Like, it's not Legend of Vox Machina.
The undead scenes are probably like the creepiest thing.
Yeah, some like the war flashbacks.
Yeah,
at worst.
Yeah, and they do essentially desecrate a corpse at the end with the owlbear Hulk smash.
Oh
moment.
My god! I mean, again, we want to say if we really want to say that this movie is just the Avengers, that Hulk smash.
Yep,
that was so good, and I will be using that in the games. Thank you very much. Like, I did enjoy her sequences of like her wild shaping like nuts and her fighting, like very fun.
I didn't know that druids couldn't wild shape from one thing to another. They have to go back to their human form and then... Because the way they do it in the movie seems a lot cooler.
Yes. Well, okay. Maybe I'm wrong. Hold on.
I don't know. You're the caster, so like that's why I'm bringing it up.
Wild shape.
So they were playing it by the book.
Yeah, you can stay in B shape for a number of hours equal to half your druid level. You then revert to your normal form unless you expend another use of this feature. Oh, wait.
So you can just kind of like stay in beast form forever.
I feel like the way this is worded almost makes me feel like you can expend another use of this feature to stay in the form that you wild shaped in, but not necessarily to go from one form into the next.
But it doesn't say you can't.
But it doesn't.
Either.
Yeah, it doesn't say you can't. So,
because like, what's the difference of you reach the end of one shape and it's about to wear off, so you just use another wild shape to just turn into something else.
Yeah. Okay, fine. I think it's because in my brain, wild shape uses Animorphs rules.
I'm not gonna get started on Animorphs. We need Nova here for that.
And Animorphs rules is you can't Animorph from one morph into another morph. Okay. You gotta morph back before you can morph again.
Dear God.
Hey, let us know in the comments if you want me to do an Animorphs Patreon special. I mean, I don't care whether you tell me you.
I think we're just gonna do that now. I'm gonna
just do an Animorphs special on the Patreon.
I'm just gonna have you and Nova do that, and I'm just gonna just like sit back and watch.
yeah, it's gonna be great.
Periodically, just pop
children,
just like
children having
they did
war
what?
crimes. Children having war crimes done on them. Oh God. Yeah, they really had us in elementary school reading about war crimes. That's crazy. Yeah, so I think
that's an episode.
Yeah. I mean, like,
this is a fun one.
I think we could probably talk about this movie for another hour, but like I don't think anybody wants that.
I think we're right at the sweet spot.
Yeah, go watch it again, who cares?
Yeah.
I would love to see another one of these, like with different cast, different story.
I think at least
maybe they'll do
Ed and Holga, whatever. I think at least those two coming back would be good. They're kind of like the heart of the story.
Yeah, they were really the only two player characters. Everybody else felt like an NPC.
That sorcerer was shitty. He seemed like a player.
True. Yeah. I feel like if they make another one, that's when they'll do like, people who usually start out playing humans, usually by the second or third game, they're playing non-human characters, and the parties get weirder and weirder. So maybe in the next one, we'll have like more like humanoid main party people. Who knows?
They could do something wacky and do like Strahd. Like throw Strahd in there and do vampires.
Oh my God,
and shit.
if they do, yeah. Hold on, I actually wonder.
I think it did well.
Box office, 157 million.
On a budget of what?
That's so far.
Because
the budget is 150, so they've just barely broken even.
Okay. It is still in theaters as we're talking, so like it's not done yet.
A fun fact is that actually they haven't broken even. They're still at a loss because the budget
marketing.
Yeah, because usually the marketing budget isn't actually included as part of the production budget. And the marketing budget is usually like 1-for-1. So they've probably actually spent like 300 million. What does that even mean?
Oh. Maybe they should just make a TV show.
I mean, they might. Like, it's done well enough that I think that they're like, okay, this is a good IP and franchise to mine. So I'm a little scared to see what the next couple of years are going to bring for visual media interpretations. Yeah. But hey, if it gets Wizards to back the fuck up off the game and be like, okay, we'll just go try to squeeze profit out of media.
Movies, TVs, cartoon. Make a new cartoon. Make a new cartoon, man. Great.
Yeah. That's go make more toys. Go do some other shit. Go sell some other shit. Leave us alone. That's really my biggest hope for
this movie.
The D&D cinematic universe that we're inevitably going to see, because that's just the media landscape that we live in now.
You want it to be a success.
Anything does slightly well, and suddenly it's a cinematic universe. So, yeah, be prepared.
We're talking about Super Mario Brothers. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. In 10 years, we're going to look back and we're going to go, Honor Among Thieves was the last good one. The first good one and the last good one. Every single one of them since has been cash grab garbage. But, yeah.
Let's see how that goes.
Bye, I guess.
That was the end?
That's the end.
Why are you still here?
Go home.
We already did our plugs. We're done here.
We're done here. Get out of here. Bye. Oops All Dragons is a group effort. Our show is edited by Noel Hernandez, our theme was composed by Brendan Lyons, and our logo art is by Azif On Q. Links to more of their work and their social media will be in the show notes. Find us on YouTube and Spotify, and check us out on Twitter and Instagram at Oops All Dragons.